I
I, Kwame Agbodza,
swear by Almighty God
swear by Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
that the evidence I shall give before this
touching the
committee
matter in issue shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Honorable Kwame Govins Agbodza, you've watched the video. Can you tell us what you know about what happened here on that fateful 30th January 2025?
Thank you, Chairman. Having been the immediate past majority chief whip, I know vettings happen after the appointment committee normally have their pre-sitting meetings and agree on things. And in the case of the particular incident, the committee had a master plan as to how to vet the nominees. I had an opportunity to, though I was no longer a member of the committee after I was appointed, to sit in just to support colleagues. Much of the initial vettings went without incident. It is not unusual for members of the committee to disagree on how many and what time to start, but eventually, normally, the majority side, which is government, prevail in what to be is supposed to be done. My understanding is that if you all notice, the committee started vetting, but on a particular day of Wednesday before the Thursday incident, though a number of colleagues were scheduled to be vetted, there was a decision to bring in Mr. Vomawo to appear before the appointment committee. It meant that all colleagues who were scheduled to appear on the Wednesday on the master list or master program couldn't be vetted. Though many of them have also made arrangements for those who they want to come and give them moral support, have already made plans and were almost ready. In fact, some of them were in town. So it meant that all who actually were supposed to be vetted on the Wednesday have to be shifted to the Thursday. As said by the leader, I know Honorable Ablakwa wanted to be vetted a week before the week into which the incident happened. They couldn't give him the opportunity to be vetted. So originally, Honorable Ablakwa was supposed to be vetted on the Thursday. So if anybody says Honorable Ablakwa was being smuggled into Thursday, that is not true. He was originally supposed to be vetted on the Thursday. So he prepared. The challenge happened when I think we had to shift almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people who were supposed to be vetted on the Wednesday to be added to the Thursday. Then it became an issue of an attempt to negotiate who should we take. The minority insisted we should only do 3. And that if you remember, that was like a standard. But we had 60 ministers to go in a short period of time. I noticed that they insist we are vetting 3, and the majority will say we are vetting more than 3. In the period, and I unofficially participated in part of the roadside discussions. So if the discussion is going beyond a certain time, they say, okay, let's go and start. The minority takes it that what they said the last time before we entered the vetting was that we want to vet 3. The majority believes, no, we are not vetting 3, we are vetting all these people. So just on record, on the Wednesday, the spillover from the Wednesday, which is about 5, added to the 3 originally scheduled, which was supposed to be Honorable Ibrahim Tia, Samuel Nate, and Honorable Akujeto, were originally supposed to be vetted Thursday, the 30th of January. So if we have a situation where 5 plus 3 are supposed to be vetted, that decision has to be made by the committee and have some leeway. So if anybody says we were originally to vet 3, we give in and added 1, making it 4, and somebody is trying to make it 5, that is not entirely the situation. The situation was that the appointment committee elected not to vet on Wednesday, and people have made plans to be vetted on Wednesday and Thursday, and they ought to know that they should have been ready to vet 8 people on the day of 30th January. On the particular issue, what I saw, it's not unusual for members of parliament to argue. This house is a house of debate, and we argue forcefully, depending on how you feel about an issue. So we argue on the floor, at committees. So nothing on that day you look to me as a former whip as an unusual situation. Where it got difficult for me is when, out of lack of agreement, I saw my colleagues on the minority side, and I made this point on the floor, when the minority side started having a go directly at the clerk of the committee. For me, that was not right, because like I said on the floor, in Parliament, we are all not blind. We have parliamentary service staff. We have members of Parliament are known by their party colors, except independent people. But for us to see colleagues begin to identify his NDC, his NPP, for me, I knew something was not right. And so I got really shocked. So all I could do was to pull back and watch. And unfortunately, colleagues, and I saw my colleague, Minority Chief Whip, insisting, and I agree with him, he's a whip. We need to hold a certain line given to him. And this is what whips do. You are given an instruction and you try to hold that line. We are either for it or not for it. So initially when he got up and said, we are not having it, I've done same in the past, we are not doing it. Where it got a bit difficult, then I saw my whip, Honorable Dapamekpo, approaching the other side of the chairman saying, no, we are doing it, we are government, we need to get this done. But even then, it wasn't even an issue. Then some other colleagues on the minority side, in the video you could see, maybe they couldn't see that the video was capturing them, begin to turn their backs towards the table and begin to open up the gap between the closing of the table and pulling the table. To the extent that when that appears not to be working for them, you could hear, I don't have to tell you, could hear people, all sorts of things. Until it got to a point where you saw colleagues beginning to take the chairs on which they are sitting and placing them on the table. At that point, everybody in the world knows this is not right. And I saw the respected majority leader came in, tried to appeal to people to calm down. Then a particular colleague, I was shocked, even came in front of me, took my console and ripped the cable off and smashed it on the table. So if you watch that day,
sorry, can you mention it? Because
no, I said I was shocked. I couldn't tell exactly, but all I realized was that by the time I realized the equipment in front of me.
But you can identify him.
I didn't see him in the video doing it. That is what I'm saying. That okay. I realized my equipment was damaged. I'm sure if you watch the entire spectrum of the video, you will see who was damaging the equipment.
Okay.
And then I saw one of the tables go up and came down. It went up with 4 legs, came down with 3 legs. I don't know what happened to the other leg. And
Honorable Minister, we watched all the videos where you were seated. Yeah. We didn't see any of our colleagues pulling. We saw some videos, some colleagues pulling out some of the cable, not from your side. So we have those evidence there. And so we want to take that one out because we did not see it. If you have evidence that you can show it to the committee, then that person can be surcharged. Okay. But the ones that we saw, we have evidence of it.
Okay. So you will notice that the table where you are sitting is you are at the center of two tables. When the first table on your left-hand side was ripped off, we needed to put all those gadgets back onto the only table left, heading to where the head of the table was. So I'm not even a member of the committee. So I'm saying the console in front of me, because I wasn't given one console to speak because I did not have audience at the committee. So if you watch, we need to place back those equipment which were supposed to be on this table back on the available table. So when I say the console in front of me, I wasn't having one myself. But you notice that in the video, you see that there are many broken ones in front there. So for me, all I can say is it's an unfortunate situation. I totally support the action of Mr. Speaker to take the first action. I totally support Mr. Speaker for setting up this committee. I again support Mr. Speaker's decision to de-escalate by allowing our colleagues to, at the moment, continue to serve their constituents pending the outcome of the report from this committee to plenary. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, do you have questions for the witness?
Thank you, Honourable Minister. I'm just trying to ascertain the timeline. The console that was ripped away from you, was this after the other table that had been broken was taken out, or was this before? I'm just trying to understand.
No, it's like I said from the beginning. I said I didn't know exactly who ripped off, but I heard word, Muntiti, and then whilst the table to my right, the last table to my right-hand side got off.
Was it Muntutu or Muntiti?
No, Muntutu, I think Muntutu was when they were about the table, the leg of the table. That is what I heard. Then, if you watch the videos, you will see somebody removing the connections of this. Those were the ones that were placed in front of us there. So just to make the clarity.
Honourable Minister, well, I mean, from the tree where there's the Montri and Muntu, which are two different things. And usually in the video, we actually heard the two different words used in two different contexts. But what I'm trying to ascertain is not who ripped it. What I'm trying to ascertain is whether this destruction to the console happened after that table was taken away from the room, because you're saying that everything was put on this table. What I'm trying to ascertain is whether the destruction to this microphone you're referring to happened after the table had been moved, or this happened before that other table was removed.
I think sitting from where I was sitting, I thought some of them were destroyed on the table before the table was removed, and they were placed back on the only table available.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Minister, do you think that the response time for interventionists, let me put it that way, for this whole episode, I think that the response time was slow, or maybe the marshals should have come in a bit earlier, or what, in your judgment, as you are here, what do you think?
As a whip, a former whip, it is a delicate balance for marshals and the police in Parliament to intervene if issues are about us. As much as they want to protect us, they are hesitant to fully deploy if it's about us. And I noticed that because I was a whip. Now, it's not as if they couldn't have in my mind, physically restrain and take some people who we all saw in the video, obviously misbehaving out. But these are colleagues, members of parliament. Their response time was spot on. What to do in the particular situation is a difficulty, and I don't believe even today, they still have the answers. But the solution would have been that members of parliament, as we are, if we schedule to vet 5 people on Wednesday, have written to them and elect to bring in Mr. Vomawo and spend the whole day on him. In fact, I was encouraging them, after Mr. Vomawo have been dealt with, let's go ahead and vet the rest of the people. After we have elected to invite people or prompt them for vetting, and elect not to vet them, and they are in anticipation of being added to the next day, and who says we've not vetted 8 people on the day before? But people decide that we are not going to vet anybody, and now rather pick and choose from the people who were not vetted on Wednesday, and say that for the Thursday, the original people shouldn't be vetted. I think that is where the problem was. If we had agreed to vet all the people that couldn't have been vetted on the Wednesday, in addition to the Thursday, there shouldn't have been any issue at all. So that is how I see it.
Honorable Kwame Agbodza, I'm sure you'll permit me to call you Kwame.
In fact, I'm Kwame.
The day that you, Honorable Vomawo was smuggled in, I thought that was what he said. He was not scheduled, but he was added on when he had not, he had not been scheduled. Is that correct?
Well, on the master schedule of the appointment committee, I did not see a schedule to invite Mr. Vomawo. So those words, smuggle, actually are your own words. I didn't use it.
Okay. Now, on that day that Mr. Vomawo was invited, how many people were vetted?
No one was vetted, but 5 were scheduled.
So that day he was the only person that was interrogated.
Yes, he was the only person who sat where I was for.
Okay, I get it. Yeah. So it means that all the 5 were pushed to the next day. All the 5 that were scheduled to be vetted were pushed to, that was Wednesday, isn't it? Were pushed to Thursday.
Yes, so on the master list that I have, on the Wednesday, the 29th of January, Honorable Rashid Perpo was supposed to be vetted at 9 a.m. Honorable Ibrahim Mutala at 11, Honorable Kofi Idi at 1 p.m., Honorable Joseph Bukari Nikpe at 3 p.m., and Honorable Isifu Seidu at 5 p.m. None of them were vetted on the Wednesday. And on the Thursday, those who were supposed to be vetted, Ibrahim Tia at 9 a.m., Honorable Samuel Nate George at 11 a.m., and Honorable Samuel Kujeto Ablakwa at 1 p.m. So that is what the original situation was. But the same committee decided, and rightly so, to invite Honorable Vomawo because of the unfortunate comment he made.
Sorry,
outside.
Mr. Vomawo.
Mr. Vomawo. So that is what actually caused this. So the center of the difficulty was not vetting on Wednesday. And instead of vetting the people who were originally scheduled for Thursday, they rather wanted to pick and choose people who were not vetted on Wednesday and vet them. That is what the problem was.
Okay, so on the next day, that was the Thursday, instead of the committee vetting 3 people, they were now supposed to vet 8. Is that correct?
I would have thought, being fair to colleagues who were supposed to be vetted on Wednesday and Thursday, they could have vetted all of them because they knew before deciding not to vet anybody on Wednesday that what it meant was that to catch up with the schedule, you need to plan to vet people who were originally supposed to be vetted on Wednesday, in addition to the original Thursday scheduled people.
So from what you're saying and looking at the timetable, it would have been possible if they decided to complete or to go through all the 8 on the Thursday.
Chairman, I sincerely believe they could have vetted 8 people on that day.
If you look at the timetable, one from 9, the second was to start at 11, and the third was to start at, I think, around, did you say 5? The original timetable, because you are a leader, I asked this. So looking at the timing, at what time did you think that these other 5 nominees could have been slated? Because now they started those who were supposed to be vetted from 9 o'clock. And then at the time the chaos started, I think it was around 8 p.m. and about 3 nominees were to be interviewed. From that time, when the chaos has started around 7 or 8 p.m., was it possible to go through the 3 nominees, and what time did you think that they were going to finish?
On the original plan, the 5 were supposed to be vetted. The last person was supposed to be on the chair at 5 p.m. I'm sure there was a reason they put time against all of them. So if you were going to vet, and the last person, which is the 5th person on the Friday, was going to be sitting here by 5 o'clock, it would have been left with 3. And it's a committee. They can decide that they will vet the rest. After 5 o'clock, the rest of the 3 come. On the Thursday, you will notice that Honorable Kujetu was supposed to be here at 1 o'clock. What it means is that maybe by 2 o'clock, he would have been finished, and then you add the rest. So it's an issue of time management of the committee. Even in Parliament, it gets to a point the Speaker will say, you speak for 5 minutes, and they stick to it. So that one was entirely in the bosom of the committee to decide how much time they spend on each nominee.
Now, ask this because you've been a leader all this while. And to be fair to the nominees, they have invited their chiefs, their wives, their relatives, and whatnot to assist them or to attend the vetting. Did you get to know whether leadership had agreed to reschedule any of them, or it was agreed that all the 8 were going to be vetted because all of them had brought their followers?
It's a very difficult situation. I can tell you, some of the invitees slept in spaces around in Parliament on that day. Some slept in, some colleagues need to beg other colleagues to allow their guests to sleep in their offices because the numbers were such that colleagues couldn't have afforded hotels for them on that day. I saw some of them entering bathrooms or washrooms in the morning. So it was something the committee leadership should have considered ahead of time, that these people were already here. At a point in time, I approached the leadership and said that I know a particular nominee who had close to 100 opinion leaders, chiefs, already on the compound. At the time, they were saying, we can't vet them. The 100 chiefs also were already here. So when we say, what do you want him to do with them? They say, oh, they're already here. They can come tomorrow. Sadly, I can tell you, some of them slept on the premises here, which is unacceptable.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We are grateful you attend up on this committee. You are duly discharged.
And I appreciate the work you are doing.
And if we have any other questions, we will call upon you once again. Thank you so much for the insight.
Thank you, Chairman.
Colleagues,